You can start with what I'm sharing this. Hare Krishna, you can start.
जगन्नाथ बल्लेश्वर माई की जय. Let's start, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So, Hare Krishna, Puris Mataji, welcome all of you. Thank you very much for joining and keeping the appointment with Krishna for hearing Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So, Jagannath Baldeswar Mai ki jai, Giri Govardhan ki jai, Nasimha Bhagwan ki jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Goswami ki jai, Guru Parampara ki jai. Jangan Shri Prabhupada, Om Jnantamrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we'll continue with the Bhagavad Gita second chapter contents of the Gita summarized. Today's two verses, there are 42.42 and 43. Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipashchitaha vedavadartha partha nanyat astiti vadinaha kamat manasvarga para janma karma phalapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishwarya gatim prati. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. So, being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. Hare Krishna. So, thank you very much, Professor, for joining. So, we're continuing with this chapter. It's a very important chapter. So, see, the devotional service. Prabhupada always says, no, not just devotion, it is devotional service. So, devotional service is the only way to get out of the material modes. What are the material modes? Mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, right? And moreover, we all seek material benedictions, right? That's what this verse is talking about, Vedas, Karma Kandas. But material benedictions are useless. See, Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a beautiful verse by Prithu Maharaj, in the 4th canto, 20th chapter, verse number 30, where he's praying to the Lord. He says, my dear Lord, what you have said to your unalloyed devotee is certainly very much bewildering. The allurements you offer in the Vedas are certainly not suitable for pure devotees. People in general, bound by the sweet words of the Vedas, engage themselves again and again in fruitive activities, enamored by the results of their actions. So this is what, no? So the conditioned living entities, we are all still unconditioned, and more conditioning by air condition. Correct. So a conditioned living entities in the material world are trapped by the influence of the three modes of material nature, and in various degrees. So the Lord, as the Supreme Father, He gives everyone a chance to go back to God. So in order to cater to those who are not ready to take up the process of pure devotional service directly, Vedas prescribe the path of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. But people who are less intelligent simply get stuck with the karma kanda activities prescribed in the Vedas, and they miss to understand the real purpose of the Vedas. That's what we read in just now the translation. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, and they are interested in getting more and more sense gratificatory objects. That's why Prithu Maharaj is therefore saying that we should not be allured by these flowery words of Vedas, which are teaching the ways for getting material benefits. So such benefits are going to keep us more and more entangled in the cycle of birth and death. And the purport of this verse 4:20-30, Prabhupada very beautifully says, Prithu Maharaj therefore says that the allurement, attraction for the material benedictions, is another trap, the entangled one in this material world. They are completely entangled, one more and more. So Prabhupada says, he therefore frankly tells the Lord, that is Prithu Maharaj is frankly telling the Lord, that the Lord's offerings of benedictions in the form of material facilities are certainly causes for bewilderment. So pure devotee is not at all interested in bhukti or mukti and all, no. That's why in Damodara Ashtakam verse 4, Satyavarti Muni, very nicely prays. Varam deva moksham na mokshavadhim va nachanyam vrineham vareshadapiha idam teva purnata gopala balam sada me manasyavi rastam ki manyai. So what does Satyavarti Muni say? He says, please hear me very carefully. Oh Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon, which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of bhakti. Oh Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Bala Gopala in Vrindavana may ever be manifest in my heart. For what is the use to me of any other boon besides this? So wonderful. So following the footsteps of these great souls, let us understand the futility of material benedictions and seek the supreme benediction of being engaged in the Lord's service always. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. See, the key to success in spiritual life is intense focus, not only just focus, intense focus in our service. We can realize Krishna through a dedicated attempt to glorify him by our service. We should always remember should always try, we should always try to remember that every act of ours is an attempt to glorify him and please him. Every act of ours is an attempt to glorify him and please him. So if you remember this frequently, that whatever attempt we are making is to glorify the Lord and to please him, if you remember this frequently, consistently, we can increase our focus in our service. So what we should always think, that my attempt of this seva is to glorify the Lord and please him, that's all. So when the focus is not there in our service, we do things half-heartedly, mechanically. We do not put our heart and soul in the projects or seva. So whenever there seems to be a very dull moment, so in the course of our service, we lose the enthusiasm and think that probably we are not meant for this service, or that we should focus on something else. That's what happens. But Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita very clearly that all this is due to the propensity to enjoy the results for oneself. Enjoying the results oneself is also another form of sense gratification. That's why in the next verse, which will come tomorrow, that's 2.44, Krishna says, in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. So the word resolute determination is very important. One should completely resolve himself with a staunch determination to serve the Lord at any cost. But this resolute determination, it does not arise. It does not come if we look forward for name, fame, wealth, right? Or women as an outcome for our devotional service. No. See, name, fame, wealth, etc., these things will automatically come as a result of our devotional service. But when we perform sincere and unmotivated devotional service, instead of hankering for these things, we would rather be praying to Krishna to take these hurdles away from us. Because our focus in Krishna service becomes so intense that we lose the taste for everything else. And this will happen when we truly relish every act of our service. We should do our service joyfully. That's why in one of the purpose is joyfully performed. So then we can realize the prayer of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatad bhaktirahi tu kirtvai. We always say this, no, Shikshashtakam in the morning. He says, "Oh Almighty Lord, I had no desire to accumulate wealth. Nor do I desire beautiful women. Nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your costless devotional service, birth after birth." So let us all pray, from the core of our hearts, that let us not get sidetracked by any benefit that we may get as part of the half-hearted devotional service we are doing. This is the only result that we want from our seva. It's an ever-increasing impetus to do more and more seva, joyfully. So let us all pray, sincere, to all the sincere souls, all the acharyas, to bless us to have this benediction from the Lord. See, this Krishna conscious devotional service means to develop attachment for Krishna. And in the same proportion, to develop detachment from material sense gratification. So two things cannot go on. For example, Prabhupada in one of the lectures, he says, in a glass containing water, if you want to put milk in this glass, then you have to throw away the water, right? If you think that I shall keep half water, half milk, it becomes diluted. So if you want to keep milk, then you have to throw out the water. If you want to keep water, then you have to cannot keep the milk. Similarly, bhakti. So this is the test. So if you become Krishna conscious, if you are improving in spiritual life, so proportionately you will be detached from materialist way of life. So that is a test. So simply thinking, I am meditating so much, I am making very good advance, that is not. You have to test. And that test is improvement of spiritual life means that you become detached to the materialistic way of life. Bhakti pareshanu bhavo viraktir anyatra syat. 11:242 of Bhagavatam. And he gives another example. Just like if you are hungry, actually every man is hungry for spiritual happiness. Therefore, they are not satisfied. And they are trying to gratify their senses in so many ways. But still they are not satisfied because actually is hungry. Just like a child is crying, right? The mother is offering something, but he's still crying. That means the child is asking something which the mother cannot understand. So similarly, the dissatisfaction of the modern world means that actually everyone is hankering after spiritual happiness. But nobody is offering. And even if it is offered, they cannot understand. And they do not take it, and this is the position. So here, Krishna says that some way or the other, if you begin your activities in Krishna consciousness, even 1%, not 100% also, it will never be destroyed. All other things, whatever you acquire in this present life, at the end of this body, everything is finished. Your education, degree, opulence, building, bank balance, right? Everything will remain where you kept, and you have to go. Even leaving this body also. You have to go alone and to accept another body. But if you cultivate spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness, that will go with you. And if you have finished in this life, 10%, for example, you finish only 10% in your life, Krishna consciousness, the next life you will begin from 11%. The 10% will still remain. The best thing is that, why not finish 100% in this life? Why should we indulge in materialistic way of life, sense gratification? That we have tried in many lives. And this human form of life, there are very many other lives also. So we had been in the water, we have aquatics, we were vegetables, we were animals. So many. This is the highest, but this is the highest boon. It says 11:929, Labdhva sudurlabham idam bahu sambhavanti. So after many, many births, millions of births, here is another form of body, human form of body. And especially in the civilized society, so we have to utilize it. How to utilize it? The consciousness, the present consciousness, actually we have is a political consciousness, but we have to rectify this to Krishna consciousness. So that's why, if you can purify your consciousness in touch with Krishna, that is your success. And if you can execute even certain percentage, that is your permanent asset. We are trying to get more assets in this world, but this is a permanent asset. Otherwise, everything here it is temporary. This permanent asset will go with you. Next life also you will get a chance. And this also explained in Bhagavad Gita, right? So every sane man, every intelligent man should take advantage of this Krishna consciousness movement. And whatever percentage he can achieve, he should try for it. So this is very, very important for us to understand. That's why we have to be focused, intense focus, and determination. These two things we have learned today. Otherwise, focus on Krishna consciousness. Whatever Krishna has told in Bhagavad Gita, accept it as it is and put it into practice in our daily life. Then it is possible. Otherwise, in the Vedas, the flowery language of the Vedas will take us divert, bahushaka, many branches. Then you will be totally lost, misguided. That is a symptom of, one of the symptoms of Kali Yuga, right? Misguided. Misguidance is too much in this material world nowadays. And finally, before ending, we have been reading Bhagavad Gita for so many days, months now, right? Now we come to the 2.43rd verse. We'll go on. So have we understood what are the 5 subjects, matters of Bhagavad Gita? We might have heard. Every day we are hearing and in about 15 minutes and then forget about it, right? And the next day we come again. We should try to imbibe this day in. You can have a notebook and write it down, whatever you learned, and try to think over it. So it will be possible. And maybe you can try to memorize some good verses which you like, right? So the 5 subject matters, I will give you an acronym by which you can understand for the entire lifetime. It is PLANT, plant. You know plant, right? So P is personality of God, Ishvara. L is living entities, Jiva. A is activities, Karma. N is what? Prakriti, that is nature. And T is time, Kala. So Ishvara, Jiva, Karma, Prakriti, Kala. So these 5 we can understand by personality of God, right? That is P is personality of God, Ishvara. Living entities, Jiva. A is activities, Karma. N is nature, that is Prakriti. And T is time, Kala. So if you remember plant, you can remember that these are the 5 subject matters for the whole of Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Shri Prabhupada. Go, Hare Bol, Hare Krishna, Vancha, Kalpataru, Vishakripa, Sandhu, Vacha, Padidanam, Pavane, Vaishnav, Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to glorify the Lord. Hare Krishna.